Hi, welcome to the Brief Book Reviews channel, otherwise known as An Old Guy Reviews the book that he's read this week. So what's the old guy read this week? Book I've read this week is this one. It's called Sleeper Beach by author Nick Harkaway. It was published by Corsair as a hardback here in the United Kingdom on the 10th of April 2025, and it's a Titanium Noir novel. Follows on from the previous story by Nick Harkaway, basically called Titanium Noir. Regular viewers of the channel will know that I recently reviewed another book by Nick Harkaway called Carl's Choice, but that was basically a continuation of the Smiley franchise. It was a John le Carré novel. This, however, is completely different. And say at the start, this is a cross-genre book. It's a mixture of detective noir type fiction, i.e. it's a slightly dark and cynical style of detective novel. The main character's sort of morally ambiguous, I suppose. And there are corrupt institutions, and there's a bit of a sense of doom and gloom about the place, and science fiction. Science fiction, I hear you say. What's this all about? So, less of the waffle, I'll get onto the plot. Story kicks off with a murder. There's a young woman is washed up on the beach on the shore of a rundown holiday town called Shearwater. She's washed up dead, and the town of Shearwater is basically run by the Erskine dynasty. They own the plant that dominates the town, that makes flavourings for food, etc. They run the town. Their security team helps out the local police, if you will. And basically nothing goes on in the town without the Erskines knowing about it. The matriarch of the Erskine dynasty, Martha, is worried that somehow her grandson Torrance is involved with the murder of this young woman that's washed up on the beach. And she wants an investigator, a private investigator from outside of Erskine to have a look at it. So she contacts Cal Sounder. Cal is a detective first, but a titan second. What's a titan, I hear you say? And hence we get to the science fiction bit. The titans are people that are taking a drug called T7. It basically makes them stronger and younger and physically bigger. So Cal is a private investigator, and he is a titan. He was given a dose of T7 to help save his life by his girlfriend Athena in the previous book. And Cal is still coming to terms with being a titan. He's 41. He's 7 foot tall. He looks like a kid though. He's got a sort of baby face. So he's been asked to meet Martha. And Martha, of course, is a titan as well. But she's on her 4th dose of T7, and she's very old and absolutely massive. But she wants Cal to, she says, contact the local police chief, work along with him, but I need to know what's going on here. And very soon Cal gets to work and tries to find out what's going on in this town. Because it's clear there are some secrets. There's disputes going on at the Erskine plant about wages. There is political conflict. It becomes apparent to him that there's all sorts of shenanigans going on in the background. There are people that are driving political agendas, and a lot of people are hiding secrets. So the story is Cal trying to get to the bottom. He knows that people aren't being straight with him, trying to get to the bottom of who is responsible for this murder. We also see, and I suppose the detective noir bit about this is Cal trying to get hold of his own identity, because he's a titan. He's one of these people. Typically the titans are rich and wealthy people, and obviously once they've had the T7 they go on to be even richer and wealthier. And he's struggling with the identity of that. Can he do his job as a private investigator? It gives him certain benefits being a titan, but it also, as there are cons as well as pros, because people are reluctant to help a titan in some ways because obviously jealousy. So there's also a political background here, and we have references to a previous situation in a town called Tilehurst, which didn't end well, where workers at a local factory were basically, it didn't end well for them. I won't ruin the plot by saying that. So there are links to previous events, and some of the people in Shearwater were involved in Tilehurst, which didn't end well for the workers there because they were heavily cracked down on. So that's it. Now, one stage, Cal is asked if he ever considers going into politics, and he says, politics, you've got to be joking. Basically, liars disagreeing with one another is just still lies. And I had to chuckle at that because how true that is. So it is a good tale. It's you don't know right to the end who is the perp, if you will, who creates the murder. But it's much more than that. I said it's noir fiction. There is this sort of sense of doom and gloom. Is that, how's this all going to end? We end up with the Titans, these superhuman people. What happens to the rest of society? Will there be a divide? Will they learn to work in harmony? So there's that going on as well. Maybe I'm just a bit thick, but I find it. Nick Harkaway's books, some of them are a little bit just too wordy at times, and certainly the better bits of this book are when you have Cal, the private detective, coming out with some one-liners, some wisecracks, and getting on with the case of being a private detective. And sometimes we get bogged down in the airy-fairy politics, wouldn't the world be a greater place type of stuff. So if you like your detective murder mysteries straight and to the point, this probably isn't the book for you. It is well written without doubt, and it's a good story. I enjoyed it. It's 312 pages, but as I said, the crossover between standard detective stroke science fiction won't be for everybody. I struggled with it at times, and said when Cal sticks to being a private detective, that's the good bit. The rest of the noise around it, maybe not so much. So I give it 6 out of 10. It's a worthwhile read. It's only 312 pages, and the actual form factor of the book is slightly smaller than the normal. I mean, if you compare, that's Carla's Choice. That's Sleeper Beach, so it's slightly smaller. And I suppose I'll just finish off the review by saying, why is it called Sleeper Beach? It's called Sleeper Beach because there are people that basically rock up, who have had enough of this whole wide world, rock up to Sleeper Beach to die, basically, and are camped out. And one of the things that Cal tries to do is trying to help these people in the end, because despite the fact he's a Titan, he's still got the normal lifestyle, and he wants to be... He wants to help people that need help. So as I said, not for everybody. It's a detective science crossover. It's a little bit wordy at times, but the actual detective story is quite good. So I give it 6 out of 10. Worth a read, and something a bit different, I guess. So that's it for this week's brief book review. 312 pages, so it won't take that long to read. 10/10 till we do it again. Thanks for watching. Bye.